Popper's Perspective is brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store and mattress partner of the New York Giants. As we welcome you into the Hackensack Meridian Health podcast studio, keep getting better. This week's Popper's Perspective is with former New York Giant and two-time Super Bowl champion, Zak DeOssie. Zak, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bob. Been tuning in for a while. Glad to be here.
All right, so 13 years as a Giant, 9 years as a captain. But you told me before we started taping, 13 means something very important to you.
13's a good number for me because it's one more year than my dad, Steve DeOssie, made it in the league. So I love you, Dad. Beat you by one. For those keeping track at home, I win.
You also got to wear one uniform.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like coming to the Giants? You were a fourth-round draft pick out of Brown. You were a good linebacker in college. When you came to this organization, knowing that your dad had played here and knowing the history, what kind of pressure did you feel?
Honestly, I didn't feel a lot of pressure. I just felt a lot of, I was very fortunate and lucky to be here. The fact that I got to play for my dad's favorite team of the four he played for, and obviously, as a young man, you understand what type of organization this is. I just felt very, very fortunate to be here, and the pressure. Everyone still in my 13th year called me Steve around the building. Those who were upstairs who were around my father when he played. But to me and to my family, that's an honor to be confused with my dad.
Well, you have a great combo too, right? I mean, NFC Championship game on the road against the Niners, and both of you had the important snaps.
We did. When we snapped that game winner in Candlestick, the last game in Candlestick, obviously my dad was there, and I came out and he said, "You'll never believe it. That's the same exact end zone where I snapped the game winner to Matt Barr to go into the Super Bowl." And for the long snapper nerds out there, that's a pretty special moment for that. And also share it with my dad.
Let's talk about life after football and transitioning. Some guys prepare for it. They understand it's not for long, the NFL. What was your thought process as you were playing for the Giants about what could be next for you?
Well, listen, I watched my dad play football for 12 years. I was in fourth grade when he retired, and he went over to sports and radio TV covering the Boston markets. And I decided when I was young, I would intern in New York City as often as I could. I did exactly that. And in the last 3 years, I was interning at Goldman Sachs in between minicamp and training camp, and secured a seat upon retirement. So I was always thinking about, look, football is the best job to have as a young person, but you never know when it's over. So I like to think I spent my off seasons wisely, and it worked out well for the transition when it came.
And now you're doing great with the firm LO3 Capital. You got the shirt on. Yep. Talk about what you do on a daily basis in that role, and then I want to know the lessons you learned as a player, how you're applying it to what you do now.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm at LO3 Capital. We're an SBIC private equity firm. We provide growth capital to the lower middle market across the United States. My job is Director of Business Development and Investor Relations, so I keep all relationships warm with growth buyout firms across the country, brokers, dealers, et cetera, and we're always looking for our next investment. Today, for example, I'm hosting a bunch of clients here at camp, and it's a fun day, and my job is to pound the pavement and make sure we get first look at opportunities when they come onto the market. It's a grind, a lot like football. Our investment thesis is very bespoke and focused, so we see a ton of deals and only a certain amount pass our criteria. And in that regard, when I'm pounding the pavement and getting inbounds on these opportunities that we see, it's usually the answer is usually no, because we're cash flow lenders. But I think from football, you always get knocked down. You just keep going, and you got a team around you, and you want to do it for your team. And I think that prevails in my second career, even when I was at Goldman Sachs and here. No matter what happens, you just keep going and keep improving and learning and along the way, and that's the beauty of the game of football.
What were some of the lessons, or do you hear Coach Coughlin or one of your coaches in your ear as you get into these tough situations in a business negotiation or whatever that you're doing, where you kind of almost default to it?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Coughlin is in the back of my head always, and his inspirational quotes, that the one that I like to share is attach significance to everything that you do, whether it's putting on socks. He used to talk about putting on socks the right way, like John Wooden, and I think Coach Coughlin did an amazing job at raising young men to prepare them to be, prepared for the real world after football. And those who have played for him understand what I mean by that. And all my clocks in my house still are Coughlin time. I operate my life in Coughlin time, and I think it's, when I was a rookie out of Brown, I didn't really understand it in 2007. But after a year of watching and learning and listening, and obviously winning, Coach Coughlin's lessons, and he's an inspiration, sort of like a father figure to all of us. So it's great.
So any of the guys that played for Parcells, as they grow older, they hit you with Parcellsisms. They kind of reference back to Parcells. As a kid growing up, listening to your dad, I'm sure at times you probably rolled your eyes a little bit. Mm-hmm. But now that you've experienced the Coughlin thing, mm-hmm. I'm sure now you're doing the same thing to your kids, and now seeing that, hey, it wasn't my dad just talking. Like, it's real. It applies.
It really does. And my kids are finally, or at least my rising 6-year-old is starting to understand Coughlin time. I've been trying to observe that for a while, but it truly is remarkable. Like, my kids were here 2 days ago with my wife. I was at work, and they had the opportunity to meet Coach Coughlin. They've met him in the past, but now that my kid's getting older, he came back and showed me the picture with Coach. And I immediately sent it to my dad, and we sort of got a little choked up. He's a special man, and what he did for us as young men is remarkable. And the fact that he sort of crossed over 3 generations of DeOssies and provided us some great experiences along the way is very, very special to the DeOssie family, and forever grateful for being able to play for him.
When you walk into a building like this and you're part of the history, your name is etched on 2 Super Bowl trophies, 42 and 46, and you played a big role in the team's really resurgence. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you walk in?
Honestly, family. Looking back, I was here for 13 years. I was a young man when I entered in, and had some great experiences and met some amazing people. But I was telling my sons on the way here, it's like I grew up with everyone in this building, and it is so nice to know that I can always walk in here and just hang out and give people hugs and catch up, because it was a huge part of my life for a long time, and I just love coming back here, and it's very special for me to bring my sons back here too, and sort of like let them look around and enjoy. And the players, there's a lot of turnover, and that's football, but I'm friends with a lot of players and former players around the league. There's something different about coming back to New York. This is the best organization, in my opinion. If you pour your heart out on the field, there will always be open door here and welcome you with open arms, and that's a good feeling.
So in order to be on a championship team, it's all about team. Coaches always preach that. Do you get the same rush, or not the same? That's the wrong question. I don't think anybody could ever get the same rush of being in a winning locker room, like when you guys beat the Cowboys in 2007, beating Dallas, knowing Jerry had left the tickets, or beating Favre in Green Bay, or the San Francisco playoff game, or whatever. And obviously the Super Bowls go without saying. Can you get close to that in the business world as far as team and camaraderie and celebration?
I don't think you can ever match that, but
close.
But
you
yeah,
can't
you can get
it.
close. You
can't match it.
You can't, but yes, you can. my role now at the firm I'm at is I love it. My teammates are phenomenal, and I feel like I found another locker room. And I think a lot of players, when they leave sort of the NFL, they lose that locker room feel. But now that I'm in my new role and been there for 3 years, when we get victories and we sign up new deals, it's a close second to the feeling that I used to have when I was a kid in the locker room. But I will say that I remember in 2011 we went up to New England and we beat them, in Gillette or at Foxborough.
Jake Ballard, great catch.
Jake Ballard it was just an incredible game, and the Patriots were rolling. And that's, I'm from Massachusetts, and I will never forget the vibe in that locker room. Obviously, the playoff games are huge, but that was, mid-season. We went up there and we beat them. And I swear to God, everyone in that locker room was ready to just keep going, and the vibe was incredible. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, because if you remember, they had this unbelievable streak at home in which they hadn't lost any games. It was the first meeting since the Super Bowl in which you guys beat them, and it was like, all right, they're going to get their revenge. And it was almost like you sent a shot across their bow, like, dude, if we meet in the Super Bowl again, we're not the 11 Giants were not the unbelievable underdog Giants.
No, you're right.
You guys had beat them, and then when you went up there and you beat them again on their turf, had to give you a ton of confidence going into the second Super Bowl.
It certainly did. And you look back, in 2007, we went toe-to-toe and lost that last game so they could keep their perfect season. That gave us some confidence. But this game in 2011 that we're talking about was something different. We went into the Bermuda Triangle up there in Foxborough and came out with a win. And, when you stack up wins, regardless of playoff implications, that was one of the best ones I was a part of, for sure.
As someone who's experienced highs and lows of professional sport and done it on a championship level, do you find sometimes, if you have a teammate at work that's maybe in a rough spot, you naturally gravitate as a former captain of an NFL team to be able to pick that person up a little bit?
I like to think so, yeah, for sure. Look, navigating and living in a locker room for as long as I did is a privilege, but you also pick up some social cues that you wouldn't otherwise other places of employment. I try and bring those lessons of gelling in that locker room with young men from all different backgrounds, shapes and sizes. I when I can add value, just like when I raised my hand when the team needed a long snapper in 2007, I raised my hand at work and just try and add value outside of my role as often as I can. And everyone sort of has that mentality there, and it's just great to be a part of.
Zach, we appreciate you sharing your experiences and life after football on this edition of Popper's Perspective. Always good to see you.
Thanks, Bob. Great to be here.
Popper's Perspective is brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store and mattress partner of the New York Football Giants.